The podcast? What is that name?
It must be rolling.
The podcast, the most subscribers of podcast over 60. I thought my grandson was on the podcast. Welcome back to Rewatchers on the pod. That's right. After a long hiatus, we have hashed out creative differences. We are back to provide you the free content that you so crave. You're here with me, Tylerus, and
Gwen Hammer.
Tyler McKinley.
Justin Hammer.
I can't believe we all remembered our name after all that time. We are back after a little summer break. I guess we'll call it just our summer break. And we are going to take a week before we get back into the leftovers to just talk all the other stuff been talking over the last month. It's basically a huge, long recommendation section of the podcast. And yeah, we're just going to discuss all that stuff. So Gwen, what have you been watching over these 4 weeks that you want to tell everyone about?
I finished Stowaway.
Was it as stressful as it sounded?
Yeah, I had to look up ending before I finished it. Also, I realized my children inherited my tea anxiety because they've been watching some show about mermaids. Keep skipping any part that had tension or, you okay?
My microphone isn't, but I am fine.
Are there more hair barrettes on that microphone than
I
there
didn't
were
add
priorly?
them.
I put them on at some and they've just stayed there.
Those barrettes? Is that what those are called?
I call them claws or pinchies.
Yeah, hair claws.
They're clippies.
Okay, yeah, I'm wrong. I don't know. Anyway, sorry. Stowaway. Now, remind me. I don't think I know what Stowaway is. I can't remember.
So a crew of 3 launches for Mars. Kind of a rough launch, little under par on their performance. And when they escape Earth's orbit and head toward Mars, a man falls out of the ceiling. There's 4 of them.
Was he like an air conditioning guy? He's just like
Pretty much, like he was like he was like a
The
tech
true
who
repair
like
man will repair.
got
man.
knocked out and stuck in the spaceship, and now there's 4 of them, and they got to figure out how to survive all the way to Mars.
okay.
And it's like it's fine, everything's fine. They're all they're looking at plants and jazz.
Okay.
They're looking at jazz or
Yes.
listening to jazz?
That's
Both.
a bad experience if you look at the jazz.
Like sheet music or
No, they're playing
doesn't
jazz,
make any
looking at
sense.
the plants. But it turns
these
out
time signatures?
that the air conditioning man damaged the oxygen recycler thing, and so now they're all going to suffocate before they get to Mars. And they can't fix it because fuck that, I guess. And botanical man, the botanist.
This is stressing me out. Like if they did like, you could be one of like the deaf, for the deaf people services on Netflix that like speak what's happening,
Yeah. The
and you really get the tone great, the stressful tone.
For the deaf people?
yeah, you know what I mean.
I didn't even question that. The botanical man is my favorite DC superhero that has not been put into anything yet. I do want to say that.
He rocks. Anyways, it's his job to save them all with algae, but the algae dies. And so they got to tell the air conditioning man that he's got to die, because otherwise they all die on the way to Mars. Right?
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
exactly.
Like they've calculated as much oxygen there's
Yeah,
going to
they're
be?
like, okay, we can't survive with you on board. You're not supposed to be here. Sorry? And then, so like they kept teasing all the ways this could go. It'd be like, is the air conditioning man, did he stay on purpose? Is he there to sabotage it? And they kept like hinting all these interesting directions. Like, ooh, maybe the botanist guy is going to be the bad guy and he's going to off the air conditioning guy. No, it's just like the algae dies and they all have to work together to go to this other part of this thing, get oxygen. And it's so more. And I still had to the ending. But yeah, it was like they had so many interesting ways they could have taken the story and they just didn't. And like Anna Kendrick went up and got the oxygen and sacrificed herself, and they were like asking feelings that they hadn't earned. And but
Spoiler alert, I guess, for these,
Yeah.
these recommendations. So I
FYI.
should have said that up front. If you want
Anna
to watch
Kendrick dies.
I mean, this doesn't feel like a super recommendation anyway, so I feel like this is a great public service to
Okay,
just kind of
okay,
like
but
let
I
us know what
do.
we're
I
missing.
kind of want you guys to watch just like 30 minutes in the middle when they're traversing from one end of the space into the other, because they do a cool. They do gravity where they've got two spaceships like swinging around each other to simulate gravity, and it's cool. It's cool to see it on screen, and it's really like, as far as I can tell, in my ignorance of film stuff, it looks really cool on film. So that's the part I'm recommending, because it like sent me down a rabbit hole of like, oh, is that an actual thing? Like, it sort of makes sense, and it's like a theorized thing that people could use on the way to Mars, simulate gravity and not suffer all the consequences of living in low gravity for 6 months or whatever. And I looked up a bunch of different ones, but I like it. I like it when shows and movies send me places and to look stuff up. So, anyways, I bought a sweatshirt because of that movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Because
Anna Kendrick was wearing it. And I was like, hey, I own the white one of that, and I like it, and I'm going to buy that one too.
nice. So this is a movie.
It is a movie on Netflix called Stowaway.
Okay.
It is kind of a misnomer because it has
Yeah.
What?
This wasn't a movie you watched with your ears, right, Gwen?
Look, I don't know.
This was an eye movie.
Maybe I was high, maybe I wasn't.
Oh, a high movie. I see. Great. That 30 minutes sounds great.
Yes.
I also am unimpressed with the ending based on how you have described it and what I have received.
There you go.
Okay, great. Tyler.
What?
What's on your list? What's next for us? What should the people be partaking of?
Well, let's just get this one out of the way because the world has gotten it out of the way. I watched Bo Burnham's Inside, and I didn't know. I've never participated in Bo Burnham before. I have watched a preview thing on Netflix, a little spiel about Pringles, and I was unimpressed by that bit alone. That was enough to make me like, I don't think this guy is for me, right? So, but I was like, it seems interesting because it seems like a very different format. Seems like and then I started watching it, and the first song I was like, yeah, I really think this guy's for me. The first song I don't think is funny really, or particularly great in any way. I was like, is this what this is? It's just this like YouTube guy. I don't know. Anyway,
I mean, a Vine guy, if we want to go a wall back.
That's true. But then,
Is it Vine is older than YouTube? Shut the fuck up.
as soon as that ends, it like becomes this weird. It's supposed to be a comedy special, but it's also this weird performance art piece that he did while he was, if you don't know, during the whole pandemic and everything. So he's supposedly by himself the whole time in his apartment or what the hell. It's only really in a room that it shows. So I don't know where that is in relation to what building he lives in. And for a while I was like, am I going to turn this off? But then it just got like, I'll put it this way. There are comedy specials where I am dying, where I have to pause multiple times. It takes me like 3 hours to get through an hour and a half special because I am just crying. I can't hear the rest of the thing. This was definitely not one of those. In fact, there was only one moment where I was like pretty dying, and it's all because of context. But I will say that this special is unrelentingly amusing. Like, after that first song is the garbage moment, and then everything else is like very engaging and very bizarre and very unique. Never seen anything like it. And the song, there's a lot of songs that get a lot better. There's some really good in there. Definitely, I mean, there's an audio version of it on Spotify, but you're doing yourself a disservice if you listen to that and you haven't watched it, because visually there's so many good things. His editing and his lighting. I mean, he's directed a movie before, so like he knows what he's doing there. There's a moment that's like gave me flashbacks, PTSD of like he's trying to it just shows him setting up all his lighting and stuff and like changing it, and then like the cord catches the stand and then like the light falls over, and I'm like, oh my god, I know what that's like.
Remember when we did multiple takes of a scene and the light stand was like on the left third?
Oh god, and I didn't see it because the grid on the camera was covering it. Oh, I was so mad at myself.
Yeah, making movies sucks ass.
But yeah, no, I don't want to like spoil anything. Like, it's been hyped a ton online, and I don't want to like overhype anything. Like, go in with just, as no expectations as possible and just experience it, because it is just fascinating. It is, he does this thing a lot, but it gets me every time, of like the perfectly timed interruption cuts of like he'll be in the middle of saying something or screaming or doing something and it just cuts. There's a song about interns that I wish was longer because it's really good. Pretty sure he just stole the tune of Zoot Suit Riot from Weird Al Yankovic, but
Okay.
it's still
Who
good.
hasn't?
Lounge jazz, it all it's the same. It's the same.
If we had to think about it, we couldn't lounge while we did it.
But yeah, there's like some weird like performance bits in between. Really great editing. Some funny songs. Like I said, there's like one or two songs that I'm like, meh, yeah. But yeah, overall, really bizarre. It gets really weirdly. I don't 2001: A Space Odyssey, but like it gets really weird.
Very Kubrickian at some point.
At the end, like his descent into madness. Like he doesn't cut his hair or shave throughout the whole thing, so you can tell kind of how long it's been.
Yeah.
It just visually. There's this ending number that isn't the song itself. It wasn't really funny to me. I don't know if it's supposed to be. It was really haunting. Like it was really like when it starts out, you don't think about it, but as it goes on, you're like, whoa, this is really weird. I'm feeling things, but I don't know what this feeling is. It's definitely uncomfortable. Anyway, I'll stop talking about that now. Bo Burnham's Inside. It's on Netflix if you haven't seen it yet.
Okay. It's interesting. I feel like increasingly over the last like a few years, like comedy special has become a less useful, like it's just becoming a less and less useful term to describe a thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's a ton of those that's like, I don't know. Stand-up comedy is like, it doesn't have to be funny anymore, and that's cool. Like I think there's a lot of great.
I think Mike
like
Birbiglia
that,
was kind of the first guy that like had a comedy special that I like laughed the least in, but still came away being like, that was incredible.
Yeah,
like
I'm emotionally moved by this comedy thing.
If you haven't seen any Mike Birbiglia's stuff, like any Mike Birbiglia, I don't think I've seen a Mike Birbiglia special that's not good. Is there one?
I don't think so. I think
at least the most recent one I've seen, which I think is his most recent one about being a dad, is fantastic.
The new one. I think that's what it's called.
Actually. Is it called
the new one?
Oh.
Yeah.
That one's like
great.
not a lot of jokes, I'm pretty sure. Well, I don't know. That's tough to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a good point because like that was like the first stuff I'd ever been like, oh, this is like half motivational TED Talk, half comedy special. And then like I see something like James Acaster's Netflix special, which is in my opinion the magnum opus of comedy special as an art form. I mean, people would probably argue that Bo Burnham's Inside is now taking that place for sure. Yeah. But like, yeah, James Acaster's special is so goddamn good.
Just like structurally, it's a masterpiece. It's like he's like what's the Falling Water guy? Who's the architect? I was gonna. It would have been way better if I could remember that. He's the Frank Lloyd Wright of comedy. You heard it here first.
I wonder if that's the first time anyone's compared those two.
God, I hope so. I'm tagging Frank Lloyd Wright in this episode, so if someone's looking for Frank Lloyd Wright, like, I guess I should step away from these blueprints and go watch some James Acaster.
How are we gonna get Hans on listening to our podcast?
Japanese Jesus. All right, Inside Bo Burnham.
Yeah,
funny. Also,
I'm surprised you haven't seen it yet.
I am slow on these things sometimes. I feel like I'm really behind. We'll talk about that more later, I'm sure. But I feel like a lot of the things I'm recommending are things that people were like heartily recommending to me 7 months ago.
Oh, gotcha.
So, anyways,
that's how I live my life.
Yeah, it's nice.
At least 7 months ago.
You curb a lot of disappointment that way. I feel like.
Yeah.
Justin, what do you have first? What's first? on your
So
list?
something that actually is I think came out while we were on summer vacation. Love, Death and Robots season 2 on Netflix dropped, and I really liked the first season a lot. I thought it was like each little vignette, whatever you want to call them, like there were some that were like, nah, this is super great, but like overall, season 1 was a lot of fun to experience. Like some of the animation in it was just really cool. If you haven't seen, it's something color blue. I can't remember the name of there's this, it's based on I think a short story. I can't think the name of the short. It's basically about an artist who like just becomes like kind of obsessed, or like his works just start like showing off this specific shade of blue, and like I don't want to give away too much about it, but it's a really really cool just short animation thing from season 1. So I went into season 2 thinking like, oh man, we're gonna get some like really cool stuff out of season 2. Like, I think I can't remember who one of the producers is on this.
David Fincher.
Yeah, Fincher is one of the producers. Yeah. So I went into it with high expectations based off of season 1, and obviously, like, it's a season 2. So I got to say, like, I am going to recommend it just because, like, I still think that there are a couple shorts in there that are worth watching, but overall, it was more of a disappointment. The cool thing about season 1 was, like, it felt like there were so many different ideas that were presented. Like, each short, I'm going to call them shorts. I don't know what else to call them. Each one felt kind of unique, more fleshed out. The season 2, like, it felt like we had like first off, season 2 there's season 2 and season 3. Season 3 has been announced as coming, I think, like early this year or something like that. I don't know exactly what happened production wise or whatever, but my guess is they probably planned on having like a full season 2, which was like, I don't know, 12, 14 episodes like season 1 has, and then something might have come up, maybe the pandemic, for example, and I ended up having to split it. I think that's what happened. I think like they kind of split it up. They're calling season 2. Season 2 only has like 8 episodes.
I thought it was like 6.
Maybe it was 6. I don't remember. And then the second season, I think, is like the other half that was planned. Gotcha. So season 3 will be coming out sometime. But anyways, so there aren't very many episodes to experience to begin with, and some of the ideas are just like you get the same idea in like 2 or 3 of the shorts. So like half of what you're seeing is repeated, and that kind of sucks. And also like there's a lot more, like they really went heavy with like the realistic CGI, which is really cool with some of the things you see. Like there's one short that's called Snow in the Desert, I think is what it's called, which is like really gorgeous. And they use like they did like mocap animation kind of stuff, and like it's really cool to watch. But then the themes that are presented in that are kind of like I think there's 2 others that kind of explore the same thing. So it was kind of a letdown because there wasn't as many original ideas I felt like that were presented, even with the animation itself. Like there's one that I can think of that had kind of like a more unique sort of animation style, and it was probably my favorite one out of all of them. Like it felt like the rest of them really leaned into more like hyper realistic presentation. So kind of a letdown. I still think it's like if you like season 1, check it out. I would recommend it, but don't go into it thinking like you're going to get anything more out of it than season 1. Like season 1 is by far and away way better than season 2. So yeah,
interesting.
I mean, I've watched probably 5 episodes of season 1. I've seen this one of The Artist, so like I want to see it. The weird thing they do with season 1, I don't know if they're still doing it, is for different people it would be in a different order for you, like by your Netflix account.
Oh, weird.
I didn't know that.
So like the first episode isn't the same for everyone, second episode isn't the same for everyone. I don't know if that's still this, but when it first came out, that's how so everyone was like kind of curious on how to talk about it, really. And with season 1, there's some that I really liked and some that I was kind of like, meh. I think I got really turned off by the time I hit one with like these outer space farmers. I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But then there's other stuff that's really cool. the production on it is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like this, even just like the editing, even if sometimes the story falls flat, sometimes it's worth it just to watch for the techniques they're using.
And you do get that from season 2. Like production quality is definitely very, very high.
Yeah.
It's just not. It doesn't land as well as season 1 does.
I watched 2 episodes of season 2. I really liked one, and then kind of the same thing with the second one. I like the animation was cool, but then the story was like cool, I guess.
Which ones did you?
The one I
watch?
liked was the Roomba one.
Yeah,
I like the Roomba
that was the
one.
first one that I
That's
think,
also
yeah,
the first one,
episode
so
1,
I think they're going to be in the same order probably.
Mm-hmm.
Then I watched the one. It's like moves to an ice planet, and he's
Yep.
like a kid who's not
Yep. The other one.
augmented.
That's the one that like visually is the most striking out of all of them, because I
Yeah.
feel like from there on, like it's just basically kind of the same thing. It's not the same as episode 1, but you get into more like a hyperrealistic CGI kind of looking,
Yeah.
and I don't know what that is called, but
Honestly, one is kind of unnerving because it is hyper realistic, but not like the style, like the shapes of people are exaggerated cartoonly, but it's done with like hyper realistic, and it's I don't know, big headed character design with tiny bodies is like it's not. It doesn't provide you good animation. It doesn't feel good. So yeah, being hyper realistic is really odd.
Have you guys seen the artist render of a hyper realistic Lego man?
I might have. I don't remember.
Google it. It's horrifying.
I've seen some that are really uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm like, man, they should make a Lego movie like this.
I've seen one of Barnacle Boy from SpongeBob that is
Oh yeah,
a nightmare fuel.
Yeah, there's one artist who does like tons of like it's fucked up. Well, cool. So Love, Death and Robots season 2, not a less than hearty recommend, but a
Yeah.
recommend nonetheless.
I don't know if we're doing. Is this so much recommendations as it is just like this is what
It's
I
kinda
did
whatever.
over the last
We just-
month or whatever?
I mean, I think you got to
That's
give
what
like a
we always
recommendation
do.
Yeah.
score.
Yeah.
Is it cold? Is it medium? Is it
scores
hot?
now.
Hot? Hot?
Is it
There
like
is no hot. It's just hot. Hot? Hot.
this is a medium.
It's, what can we say? We love The Cure. We love The Cure so much. Great album. Okay. I'm going to recommend the show. This is an Amazon Prime show. It's a Japanese, I'll call it a game show, called Documental. There is a Japanese comic named Hatoshi Matsumoto, I believe, who came up with this idea where he decided he was going to have 10 comedians come. He was going to lock them in a room 6 hours. They're all going to bring $1 million yen to put into a giant pot. And whoever...
I don't know what that is. How much? Money
It's like
is that?
$10,000.
Okay.
And they're going to, at these 6 hours, whoever has not laughed gets to take home everyone else's money. And it's kind of a slow start, but it fucking goes some places. It's only like, so there's 4 seasons. They're only like 5 episodes each. But man, I knew I loved this show when like it started and there were just people going into the bathroom pulling costumes out of bags that they had brought and props to like use. And then it really started to go places when a guy introduced a game that he invented when he was in college called the Anal Olympics. Which the way you win the Anal Olympics is you be the fastest person to show everyone else your butthole.
The fast.
The fastest,
How does
yeah.
like are there people timing it once or is it
So-
people timing? Because
so
if it's all at once, how do you tell?
In this version, it's literally just him showing them how fast he can show them his butthole. And
Do we see
man,
the butt?
You see it blurred out. This is Japanese. I'm not familiar with other new Japanese videos on the internet, but it's completely blurred. But man,
Like complete? Or are we talking like we see the curvature, just the detailed bits are blurred?
I mean,
this is important.
I think you see the curvature and it's just blurred in the crevice. I think I can't
Or is it
remember.
like Jackass where they put a giant black bar
No,
and
it's not that. It's not. We're not Jackass levels. But this show does kind of remind me of Jackass a little bit, honestly, because I'm in the 2nd season now, where now you have 10 comedians.
there's more than one season.
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
some of them who were in the 1st season, and others who watched the 1st season. So now they're like coming with actual like real formulated plans.
Someone brings a gun.
Yeah. Well, like in the second season, there's a comic who brings a bottle of her breast milk and like immediately offers it up. She puts her panties in the pocket of another comic at some point. There's a man wearing a meat thong who then they suck his balls into a vacuum. It's like this is an insane show.
Am I dreaming? Like,
No, that's like kind of where I am sometimes. And like 80% of it, you're just watching people try not to laugh, which is actually turns out very interesting. So Documental, it's on Amazon Prime.
Like as soon as you laugh, do they just kick you out?
So no, there's like a in the first season, there's kind of like a 3 strikes kind of thing. But it's not like it's not just laughing. It's like if you get like so close that it's like you're spiritually laughing. like there's like some gray areas. It's all just one guy who's judging it. So, but it's pretty fun. There's a ton of jokes that I don't get. Like they're obviously like they're comics they pull from like pop culture things that I'm like, I don't fully understand that. I also learned I have no fucking idea how comedy works in Japan. There's like comedy duos. They're all like represented by agencies and people know the agencies and like the agencies have specific reputations. It's weird. It reminds me like the Tokyo Idol stuff, where it's like there's like weird groupings and like I don't know, which I'm like, I guess that's just everything works in Japan. There's just like if you're an agent, fucking move to Japan, you could represent hairstylists. It's whatever. It's shit. But yeah, Documental, Amazon Prime. If you want it, it's bizarre and weird. It's definitely not for everyone, but I'm having a fucking great time watching these people figure out how to make each other laugh. Gwen, what's your what's from you?
how you doing?
So I don't know.
Okay, I finished Hyperion, which, if y'all remember, was Canterbury Tales in Space. And I had read it 2 years ago, and I got to the end. I don't fucking get it. I don't get it. And I would say that, like, someone explain to me what's so great about this book. And I would get, like, downvoted to hell. People would, like, make insinuations against my mother, that sort of thing. So I was like, I missed something. I missed something in this. So I read again, and I finished it a couple weeks ago. I stand by my original.
This is my favorite type of journey. I love this so much.
So, it's not quite like the treasure was the friends we made along the way, but it's pretty goddamn close. Like at the end, and like so. I loved the first story, which is about Father Paul DeRay, who goes, I have a real soft spot for Jesuits in space. He's a Jesuit in space.
I mean, yeah, I wish we'd send him there.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I love that story.
Broadway show.
Mel Brooks presents Jesuits in space.
We're on a journey to find God.
But it's like really bizarre and sweet and horrifying, terrifying, and there's crucifixions and burnings and resurrections and gross. But it's great.
Sweet.
That's the first tale. And that was the most compelling and the most interesting. The rest of them I was kind of like, all right. And especially there's one that's like goes in a very new direction, like very opens up with, and he walked into my office and he was the beautiful thing I ever saw. That's actually how it opens. And I definitely suffered through that one. And I liked the journey, but it kind of ends with a non-ending. And like the next book opens up right where the first book leaves. I'm willing to forgive it a little bit. But if you're writing a book, you have to end shit. Like can't just... The book has to be compelling and on its own and be satisfying on its own. And this was not. And especially like the last tale was not that strong. If you're going to end with the treasure was with the friends and the stories we told along the way, then you have to end with a strong story. And it just didn't.
A good story.
So I really I absolutely think it's worth reading. A really incredible journey and interesting way of telling a story. And introducing this opera, which like now the second book is very different and about a war that's happening. And I'm invested in the characters.
Wait, are these all vignettes? Like
it's that first book, yes.
Okay.
So first book is 5 because one guy gets dragged off into the night before he can tell his story. But yeah, so like the fairy tales in space, they're going to see this monster called Shrike. And it's this like mysterious antichrist, and they all have their reasons as to why they accepted the call to pilgrimage. But now they've gotten to the place where the Shrike is, and breaks out, basically. Thank God we're back to Father Ray, who's my favorite, and following him and his journey and like his wrestle with this deity and search for his God and reconciling what he knows about the universe. And I'm only halfway through the second book, but I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, recommend. Like, I've got beef with the first book, but I still recommend it.
Damn.
Rude.
No, it sounds interesting.
So like the little shits who were downvoting me were like the super just like you just don't fucking understand.
Book fans?
I'm just so much better than you. You didn't understand the message of the book.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't with our books at all.
No way!
But
I don't. No.
when I see it hit the front page and I dive into that comment section, I'm like, this place fucking sucks.
No, it does. You need to go to recommend me a book. Those people are all sweet, enthusiastic, and nice.
I'm gonna post in there how much I hate Maniac McGee and see if I get down.
I
Do
think
people
someone
love Maniac McGee?
will come to our house and crucify you
That
just
book is supposed
because.
to be like really good, and I read it twice. And
Jared Spinelli is the Preston Ellis for young adults. You fucking idiot.
I remember being to tears in the 6th grade. I mean, there was the 6th grade, so
You spent a lot here in tears.
yes, I did.
I gained a whole bunch of new karma from posting in r/NBA this past week, so I got karma to blow right now.
Oh man, you guys post?
Comments.
I actually deleted it, and my mental health is a lot better.
Oh,
I
man.
recommend that.
I
Every week
voted
right
down
now.
vote, but I don't post because I don't know what I don't have anything worthwhile. I mean,
No
I think I
one
mentioned
does.
this before. Any of
No one does.
some
That's
people are
the
pretty
thing.
fucking funny. I vote shit.
I don't know. That guy through all the data, the Jameson's performance
Oh my
based
God.
on the strip
Greatest-
clubs. That's like
yeah.
one of the greatest things I've ever seen
It's
in
the
my
reason
life.
I'm sticking around in the NBA from now because this season broke me.
Oh wait, sorry. One question about Hyperion. So, are you saying I'm trying to understand? So, the second book is structurally different from the first book. So, it's not
Very.
like vignettes. It's like a.
It's
Okay.
just space opera.
Okay, cool. That sounds awesome. That sounds interesting.
It is, and
all-
based
are
on
all the-
so
oh,
far,
sorry.
absolutely recommend.
Okay.
Are vignettes like up on the same ship?
Yes, they are journeying together on this.
Okay, that sounds more appealing to what I originally thought.
Yeah, they're telling each the story, and they're not sure like who's telling the full truth, lying, that sort of thing.
Rashomani, like. Never mind.
That was some eyebrow action.
I was thinking for time in a visual medium known as podcasting. Great. Tyler, what else?
I'm going to drop a quick anti-recommendation right before I go to my real
Fuck yeah.
recommendation. I anti-recommend being a Utah Jazz fan.
I was gonna do that too.
Goddamn. Fucking fuck. Shit fuck damn.
You want to see the
Like-
text I got from Justin after they lost?
Oh God, I don't know.
Let me find it.
I got to text him too. I could read.
I've been reading through a lot of texts that Justin has written over the years, over the last little while, and I don't know.
I don't want the one that I sent you out anywhere recorded. Like, I mean, it's out there.
I mean,
Can we move out of state? New line. I just want to be done with Utah. New line. I hate so much about living here. All I had to say was frowny face. Like, what do you say to that?
about 3 minutes in the second half, I had typed to you suicide pact, and I didn't send it. Like I knew we were going to lose that game as soon as it started the
Yeah.
second half. I was like, well, fuck, because
It's just,
I mean,
yeah.
despite what you're hearing on the Reddit, there are people to blame for this. The Clippers they're a good team. They're not that good of a team. And adjustments weren't made by two people especially. One of them I think is more to blame than the other. Because it happened last year too. And I am just baffled. Anyway, that's
The other guy was hurt as well. If you've read about that,
The other guy was hurt.
Rudy got hurt
Oh, did
in
he?
the first half. He fell down. He said he couldn't feel his right leg for the majority of the game.
Oh, man.
Or part of the game or something. So
But I mean,
that
I
makes
don't
me
know that because
a little less upset.
it was
with
for
how-
3 games in a row
Yeah.
that bullshit was happening.
I agree.
The exact same bullshit.
Yep.
Anyway,
And last year and the year before.
yeah. Anyway,
I
that's.
mean, you could add 10 more onto that.
Yeah.
I mean, this felt worse than last year, to be honest. This is fucking
Definitely.
garbage. Donovan Mitchell's a stud, though. Love that. And if he leaves and goes somewhere, I don't blame him. Hope the best for him.
I told, was it Gwen? I don't remember. I was talking to
just sort of
maybe
announced
my
it
dad,
to the
my
kitchen?
brothers. Yeah. we were commiserating yesterday when I was at my parents' house about what had happened, and I said, like, I think I might be getting to the point where I'm not going, like, I'm going to be an NBA player fan instead of like a team fan. Like, the Jazz are always going to be my team just because that's what it is. But like, if Donovan Mitchell leaves someday, probably will. I just think that's what's going to happen. Like, the guy is all going to be somebody that I consider to be one of the greatest basketball players that I've ever seen play. So I'll always buy his jersey, no matter where he goes, even if it's Houston or.
What the fuck?
I will buy a Donovan Mitchell Houston jersey.
I will say anywhere but LA. If it's anywhere in LA, I am fucking out.
Fuck.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's been. I think I got the most upset I've ever been this year, not simply just because of the shit show that it was, but just because it's so many years in a row, and I feel like I watched more this season than I ever have, and I'm like, dude, this is a huge time suck. I'm like, I don't have the time to do this. So I think I'm just gonna like watch the NBA is like a general thing, like occasionally when I want to, and follow Reddit to follow the storyline happening.
Yeah.
And
do you know? Well, here's the thing too. There's a sport that exists where everything is planned out and kind of scripted in a way that it's almost always satisfying to watch. And it's called professional sling. Think of all the time. I mean, if you would put the same amount of time put into the Jazz this season watching AEW, you'd be so much happier.
here's the thing: if I could cherry pick AEW, I would spend a lot more time doing. I honestly can't handle every single time watching the full thing because I personally feel like there's a lot of not so great content to sift through. But it fucking hits, and I love. So yeah, and I'm definitely one of the fans that some people want to cruise by who's a lot more into the quirky, wacky stuff. And when it's not that, I am like, especially when it's not that and the athletic level is not quite there, I'm like, wow, okay, this needs to be 10 minutes. Sure. Yeah. So yeah,
anyways, that was all. I'm not gonna talk about wrestling anymore, but that's all.
Wow.
Ever.
Well, that took way longer than I thought it was going to, so I will count that as one of mine.
Okay, Justin.
Okay, up next, I watched All of the Boys on Amazon, and
Sorry, that was a weird.
All the boys on Amazon.
Amazon. I don't know if you know about this category on Amazon. They've just got a boys section. They've been acquiring boys.
And Justin and I have definitely found the girls section. After you watched The Handmaid, did you?
it's like,
Are you only getting categories now of like Korean lesbian porn? Like, because that's what I'm getting.
Sorry, that's Amazon Prime, you said?
Yeah. I have like that category is recommended for me every time just because I watched one fucking Korean lesbian movie.
I don't know if I've had that subject show up, but there are definitely like movies like the one you've watched recently that are up there. But
Anyways, these boys.
anyways, The Boys, yeah. Seasons 1 and 2, I watched all of it, and I would recommend this. This is a definite recommendation, and I like season 1 more than I like season 2. I don't know how much I can talk about it because it's still so fresh and like people are still kind of like experiencing it, so I don't want to spoil anything, but it's really good. It's really fucked up and it's a lot of fun. It's like, even though it's super fucked up sometimes, it's also like the kind of fucked up that makes you laugh a lot too. Like,
Sure.
Okay, there's one scene. There's a character who's called the Deep, and his superpower is basically like he's Aquaman, not cool, I guess. And
Is Aquaman cool?
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I feel like until Jason Momoa was like, and like he tricked people into thinking Aquaman might be cool.
right,
Like,
fair enough. Yeah, he's Aquaman. But he's a total piece of shit. And there's one scene he's trying to like do good things occasionally, and there's this one scene he's like rescuing a dolphin out of like the equivalent of SeaWorld or whatever it is. I don't know. And
he's like got it in a van, like a windowless van.
He's got it like in a holster, like held up in the back of a van, and the police like it's at night and the police show up and they're like the lights are on, sirens are going, and he's like trying to run away from the cops, and he goes, I can't remember exactly what happens, if they put down like a thing like spike his tires or something, or if he just like hits something. I don't remember exactly what happens, but or he slams on the brakes. That's what it is. He slams on the brakes to avoid running into a truck or into the cops, I think is what it is. So they've stopped in front of him. He slams on the brakes to stop hitting the cops, and the dolphin just flies out of the harness that's holding it up in the back of the seat, through the windshield, out into the street. Semi truck comes by and just runs it over, and it's like the worst thing that you could be seeing. But I laughed so hard when I saw that because of how stupid and horrible it was. That's the kind of fucked up shit that you see that makes you laugh and you feel like a terrible person, but it's real good.
Yeah.
It's real bad, but it's real good.
I will say the first episode of The Boys has some like real big hurdles it throws at you immediately. Like there's some scenes in just the first 20 minutes of that you're like, holy shit, we're already here. Like here we go. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's fantastic.
I think
from there.
so. For season 2, I feel like season 2 should have been shorter. Like they kind of pad things out a bit with like sort of the same sort of like conflict resolution, but not really conflict resolution because they've got to drag everything out for the entire season. I do feel like blackmail plays like way too big of a role in season 2, which is fine. Like I guess because like kind of the point of the superheroes in this in this series is like it's not about the superpowers necessarily. It's about like how they interact with people around them, and it's more like. It's more a critique about just our society in general. But anyways, like I do feel like they rely too heavily on the blackmail trope to like solve problems in season. That was one thing that I really didn't like, or at least it got kind of old or repetitive. And also Carl Urban's character, like seeing him do like his side glare at people for the millionth time also got kind of old. Like his character, especially, I feel like in season 2, there's not enough like drive in his progression. I feel like it just feels like he just kind of sits in the same place for the entire time. Whereas season 1, I feel like you kind of get it. They do a lot better job of unfolding like who he is as a character, why he's doing what he's doing. And once that's all sort of like sorted out or revealed in season 1, the way things happen in season 2, I feel like he just doesn't really go anywhere, or at least as quickly. It just drags on for a really long time, in my opinion. So, yeah, I don't think season 2 is as solid as season 1. I know that they're filming season 3 right now, I think, or they're just finished. So that's coming sometime soon. So check that out once that airs. But yeah, check it out. It's a trip. It's real good. Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah, that show is wild. I like just thinking back, I keep remembering things that I was like, holy shit, I can't believe they did that in a show. Okay. My next recommendation that I am going to throw out now is something that's been recommended to me by almost everyone I know. I feel like everyone watched this show. And I didn't until I found out that I have access to a free Apple TV, whatever it is. What's their streaming service called? Apple Plus, Apple
Plus, I
TV,
think. Yeah.
something.
Apple TV Plus.
I think it's just Apple TV.
Is it just Apple TV now? Something. Whatever the fuck you have to pay money to see streamed video content on there. I haven't finished this first season yet, but I've watched the first half. I watched it all in like over the course of 3 hours a couple days ago. But Ted Lasso, Apple TV, is a really fantastic show. I will go so far as to say it is the best TV show ever to be based on an ad campaign run during the World Cup. And man, I mean, I feel like there's something about this show. I mean, just the premise. Ted Lasso is basically, he's like, in this world, he is a Division II football coach who wins the national championship and then is hired by a Premier League soccer team to be their coach by this woman whose husband used to own the team, cheated a bunch on her, and now her one goal is to basically run the club into the ground to torture her ex-husband. And so she hires this American to come coach the team. Little does she know, Ted Lasso is an unrelenting well of positivity and optimism that is like so fucking infectious that basically everyone, he's like the Paddington Bear of human beings. And it's the show, like, I feel like that pitch makes it sound saccharine, but this show also like is just so, there's so many real like emotional moments. Like I think if you watch the pilot, you'll know if this show is for you. But Jason Sudeikis is great. He's really funny. He also like created and kind of wrote most of the episodes, I think. But yeah, but like kind of you get this quick introduction in the first episode, and then at the end, it just gives you this scene that gives Ted Lasso a depth you didn't think you were gonna get, and from then on, you just see him in a different way, and he's still so positive. And I don't know, I think it's like really refreshing, just given what kind of prestige TV has become, this gray area and anti-hero stuff that now is just become everything. It's just everything now. It's really refreshing to have this just like ray of sunshine in there. But yeah, Ted Lasso is really great. I honestly, so many people recommended to me. I was like, this can't be good. But pretty fucking good. I like honestly driving over here, man, I'm going to watch like probably the rest of Ted Lasso when I go home tonight. But man, yeah, check it out. Ted Lasso. You don't have to like soccer. I'll say there's barely any, just not really much soccer in it, to be honest. But yeah, anyways, check it out. Very funny. Some really good writing. I think like maybe the show that's made me laugh the most like per episode since I watched What We Do in the Shadows. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. It's real good and real sincere and wonderful. Gwen, what's next on your list of things?
So a while ago, I read the first Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie, and that's the one that the basic premise is humans are terrible. And it had
I'm on board.
It had the Gandalf wizard who turned out to be a piece of shit, and everyone else was a piece of shit.
Is that Radagast the Brown?
Yes.
Okay.
Piece of shit.
So
Peter Jackson literally, it's like he was literally made of it at some point. I was like, there's so much bird shit on this man. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
you're not wrong.
I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I don't know why.
I'm going to buy that fan supercut someday when I'm brave.
Oh, does that exist?
Yes.
Man,
They cut it into a good movie. Yes.
I'm worried that
doubt.
the pieces aren't there.
Okay,
Yeah.
good asterisk.
Okay.
Good
Better
according
than-
to
Better movie, I
Yes.
would say. Yeah, sure.
Yes. But I've been reading the standalone follow-ups in the same universe. So the first one is Best Served Cold, and it's a revenge quest. And basically the premise is revenge is terrible. And then comes The Heroes, which follows a 3-day battle, both sides. And the premise is war is terrible. So I'm very excited for book 3 to see what else is terrible. But
Humans are terrible.
Humans
Revenge
are
is
terrible.
terrible.
Revenge is
War is
terrible.
terrible.
War is terrible.
Meatloaf,
So what else?
not great.
What else
we
is
should give
terrible?
these to our kids, and then they won't have to go to school.
Okay, so that's good. That's good. But like everyone ends up worse off. Everyone compromises their values and their morals. There's no correct decision to be made any point by anyone. And I fucking love it. It's amazing. I don't know, like it's so depressing and
You would fucking love my life.
okay, well, write a book and I will read it.
Stream
Till
it
then
on
you're out of
Twitch.
luck.
You might need a hot tub.
No, thank you, please.
I can like duct tape the crack in my shower door and just fill that up. Really hot water.
Okay, I'm in. I'll watch this.
I feel like that's the beginning of a horror movie. Or like maybe a comedy horror.
Man.
But yeah, it's like everyone's terrible. Everyone's terrible. Everyone's horrible. There's this one character in the last one who's like basically incel. And like he doesn't even have an arc. He makes no self-improvement, has like a lot of self-awareness, but not quite enough. And he's just a piece of shit the entire way through. Almost murders this girl's husband because he wants her. And
So it's very accurate, is what you're saying.
I just like something about it's not like I can't really say compelling, but I don't know. It's great. And I'm like, so there's this third standalone, and then there's another trilogy that's like in this same world, but the Industrial Revolution is happening, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to spend time with these shit people. And so yeah, Joe Abercrombie.
Okay. And the first lot is that's kind of like the entry point to this, right? Okay.
Yeah, the first one is called yeah.
What a title.
Something.
Man, how do you even type that out? This guy's amazing.
No. Shit, I can't remember what it's called. No, the first one is called The First Law,
Okay.
I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. Tyler.
How many more you guys got?
I think I'm
Depends
done.
how I group these next.
I mean, I got a lot of things I could talk about. I don't know if we want to talk about all of them, but
I guess I'll group these together. I guess then I don't know.
what do you?
I mean, I could rap poetic
I mean,
about.
we could do a video game section because I've got a few. To
I don't
talk
even
about.
have a lot of.
Oh,
video
you don't?
games.
I thought that's where
I've
you
been
were going
playing
with
Mass
this.
Effect, so it's like
I also have been doing that, but slower than you probably.
yeah, I'm like almost done with 3. So
Yeah, I'm not.
okay. Yeah, I'll just get all 3 of these out of the way.
Okay.
I got an anti-recommend. I mean, it's hard for me to say because I only watched 1 episode, but like I bounced off of it pretty hard. I should specify. This is the anime section.
Oh yes.
So I watched Record of Ragnarok on Netflix, which I was actually kind of looking forward to because I had seen the trailer on YouTube. And the concept is basically all the gods from all the different religions get together in the council, like, you know what? The human race fucking sucks. Let's end them. And one of the Valkyries is like, no. Let's hold a gladiatorial combat competition between, I think it's 14 gods and 14 humans. And throughout, I think it's like there's no time limit. So it's like throughout all of time. And so
Please tell me Abraham Lincoln is in
I
this
hope
goddamn
so.
anime. Okay.
This is the thing. The first episode was just not good. It took so long. I don't even think they finished the first fight. And it's some Chinese warrior from history fighting. Who's he fighting? He's fighting Thor. And their designs choices are really weird. Like the artistic design is really bizarre. I mean, the first thing you're probably going to see as you're looking it up right now on your phone is Aphrodite's design is literally she has breasts the size of this table, and she has 2
listening.
servants that hold them up.
Oh my god. What the fuck?
So it's out there, and it sounds amazing, but it's just so far it's not great. I should probably try and watch like 2 more episodes to make my mind up, but I was not impressed by the first episode. Then I finally just decided to sit down and get through the rest of Evangelion. And I was told this up to this point because the first half of the series is very much Monster of the Week. Like, and I had heard so much about like the deep philosophy of the show and how crazy it gets, and like it gets really weird, and I wasn't really seeing it yet. And that's why it's been so long. I mean, I've tried to watch this show for over like a year and a half now, I feel like. And yeah, I guess I had just stopped right before shit gets really fucking bizarre. So yeah, all of it is important, I guess. It has meaning. Like you need those first 16 episodes or whatever it is. But I don't think by themselves they're particularly special. So it is kind of an ask to like sit through this whole thing. Oh man. Oh shit. The whole ending of this is so, particularly of the series. This is so hard to talk about without like spoiling anything. And it's also a really hard recommendation because I really want you to watch it because I feel like you'd be able to not necessarily handle, like you'd be able to muscle through the bullshit and appreciate what it is.
Yeah, I worked out that bullshit muscle for a long time. I'm good at it.
Like, and also just how it ends is very, it would definitely turn a lot of people off. Like, sure. I don't know. It's so, I just want to talk about it with somebody. So the original 26 episodes, the last, like, you get to episode 23 and you're like, oh wow, things are coming to a head. All this crazy, because it's very religious. Like, there's a lot of religious symbolism. And you have to, honestly, a lot of it's lost because some of it's like, it's mixing Shinto and Christianity and like the Hebrew versions of the Old Testament. And the apocryphal stuff in the Hebrew lore. Like Lilith, Adam's first wife, is a big part of it. It's wild, dude. And there's all this like crazy symbolism. You're like, oh, all this is going to be answered in these final 3 episodes. No. In fact, I don't want to spoil it, but no. Like, you get nothing. Like, absolutely nothing. And it gets really, once again, Kubrick-y. Like, it gets really fucking out there. And it ends, you're like but I had to sit with it for a while. And I was like, okay. I think I know what happened, and I think I know what this means. But okay, so here's where it gets really weird. And then I started looking up the history because I knew there was like 6 movies or something.
Right.
And
do those come after the?
Yeah, all of them are named stuff really fucking weird. Like, oh god, I gotta see if I can find this Reddit post that was trying to explain it. Basically, there are. The series ended, and people in Japan. Apparently, this is odd too, because this was on just regular television for people, and people were following it, and people were fucking pissed off. And we're talking about people in Japan here; they're used to that weird shit. Like, and so the director was like, "I stand by what I did," but then like 2 years later, he caved and. They gave him a bunch of money to like kind of redo the ending. Like it doesn't erase the ending. Hold on a sec. All right, so this is the guide I looked up after I finished the series to figure out which of these fucking bizarre titled shows I need to watch to understand everything. So first is Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is the original 26 episode series, which was released from October 1995 to March 1996. Evangelion, Death and Rebirth, the first of 2 cinematic releases. The act as an alternative ending to the TV series premiering March 1997. The first part, Death, is just a recap of the TV series with some scenes reanimated and some new footage added. The new footage, in addition to providing new backstory, also added 2 plot points not originally in the series that become important to the story that would come next. There have been 3 versions of Death, the original and an edited version called Death, parentheses True, broadcast on Japanese TV in early 1998. A second edit called Death, parentheses True Squared, considered the final version.
How is this still like less confusing than the naming conventions for Kingdom Hearts games?
The second part, we're not even to the second part of the original, is called Rebirth, which is an all-new animation that picks up where episode 24 left off. Then, the end of Evangelion. The second cinematic release, premiering in July 1997, the movie is split into 2 parts, episode 25 apostrophe and 26 apostrophe, which is the difference, which the first half of episode 25 apostrophe is the rebirth part of Death and Rebirth, with some scenes reanimated and some new music. The rest is all new. The 2 theatrical movies were later re-edited together in a single theatrical release called Revival Evangelion, composed of Death, True Squared, and the end of Evangelion. Revival Evangelion was released in 1998. Then there's director's cuts of episodes 24 and 21 through 24 of the original run, which I think are the ones they just lumped into Netflix. So I am understanding the internet correctly. Then, and I haven't watched these yet. There's like the fourth one. There's like 4 new movies, and the 4th one's coming out soon. I don't think they're important. They're just that people don't want the series to end, from my understanding, and that's. Gotcha. I think people like these new ones, but they're not there. Okay. So now that we got that out of the way, I watched End of Evangelion, and I think I was right about my theory. It's hard to know where the End of Evangelion picks up versus those last 3 episodes. Do the 3 episodes, is it right after the 3 episodes, which I don't think is what's happening, but it could be, or I think that's like 20 minutes into the movie is when those 3 episodes happen, but they're kind of happening in a different parallel, I guess. I don't know how to explain that without really spoiling things. And if you were, I mean, it makes things a little more literal, but it doesn't make it any less fucking weird. Like, it goes fucking places and it gets out there, and I loved it. It was actually really. I feel
like if we slightly edited this, we could make it that you were talking about the Bible.
I mean, there's so much biblical stuff in this movie, and I mean the show. I don't know. It's hard because I think this show definitely has a fucking pacing problem, even in just like episode to episode and editing and stuff. Like the reveals, like huge fucking reveals, are just like, I'm going to open this door. Here's this thing. On to the next scene. We're not going to talk about it at all. And it's like, holy shit. Like, oh, yeah. So much of that, which I don't think is a good thing. I'm sure there's plenty of fanboys who want to murder me for my opinions on this thing. It's fascinating. It's jarring. It was a huge deal for Japanese animation because it fucking goes places. Something I dislike about the movie is like the main character, they kind of drastically, he makes a really gross choice, like very unsettling, and makes him very, very unlike. I mean, he wasn't the most likable guy, but he was like, he's a kid, he's trying to do his best, trying to work things out. And there's times where you're like, Shinji sucks ass, but I get it. Like, but after this, it's like, I don't know if I can be on board with this kid. Like, it's not okay. And I guess there's another, I guess a fair warning to that is I mean, you're dealing with teenagers, and you know the Japanese and teenagers, so there's going to be some nudity of teenagers that's a bit uncomfortable. But not, I mean, honestly, not until like those last few episodes was there anything that I was like, sorry, I've talked way too long about this, but it's a hard thing not to talk so much about.
This has been on my list for a long time. I'm gonna try to watch this.
Yeah, really weird. I only watched those two things, and like I think I'm very satisfied with where it is and what it is. Definitely there's a lot of problems I have with the whole thing, but I think it's a very unique experience and kind of fun to finish, to go through this weird roller coaster of especially the series, like, and then to finish with those 3 episodes and just be like, what? Like that, just that, like, almost feeling like you're being trolled, and then to see like what really happened and still have it just be like, this was the thing that was made to appease the people who were confused, is so delightful and fun and bizarre. And there's a lot to get into, and a lot. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people, there's a lot of lore, like a lot of outside lore that's being brought into this story, like religious lore that I don't have enough experience with. I understood a lot of the Christianity stuff, but not a lot of the other stuff, including some of the Hebrew stuff I was a little lost on, even though I have dabbled, you know.
Sure.
So that's my best recommendation. And that was the second, lumping all my anime into one. Sorry, this is long. I won't talk about this one as long. But I was like, well, as I'm getting all my mecha out of the way, they released the original Gundam trilogy on Netflix this week. From the 81, I think, is one. Yeah. So I watched the first one. It's honestly, I'm wondering if this was supposed to be a show. It doesn't feel so much like a movie. The first part does. Like, the first half feels like a movie, but then it's just like, no, this is definitely supposed to be. There's a lot of battles. I mean, it's what you come for, right? It's the fucking giant robots. 80s Japanese animation is a very different flavor. Kind of feels almost Charlie Brown-esque, but then you're seeing like, and it was supposed to be for children, but like, just watching it, I'm like, man, it's so different from American animation for children, because like, even though it doesn't show anything like Evangelion does, there's like an attack on this base right at the beginning. People are just getting slaughtered, and like, there's this girl crying. There's just this field of corpses around her, and I was like, huh. And I'm worried about the Japanese for a lot of reasons. One of them is I counted like 8 people getting slapped in the face in this movie. Just be like, get your hold of yourself, and just slap, like Chris Browning slapping the shit out of him. Like, at one point, this kid has bruises on his face. Yeah. But I will say, like, it's got kind of a Star Wars-y feel to it. I'd be surprised if they weren't influenced by Star Wars in some way, just how it feels. But it also has, like, it's that whole Battlestar Galactica narrative of, like, we're on the run. from the evil people. And then there's like this weird twist in there that I did not see coming, to be honest. And then they do nothing with that character. I mean, I know he's going to be prevalent in the next ones, but that's why it feels like a show. Like, then a bunch of new characters are introduced, and if that's something you've wanted to get into, I still got to watch the other two. Yeah, it's not like anything groundbreaking, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Interesting.
And that's it. There's my Tyler's Anime Corner. We can continue on.
Here you go. Justin, pull us out of this anime hole.
All right.
Pull me out of the anime's hole.
I'll just kind of do a couple things to wrap up what I wanted to talk about tonight. The first thing, I think we wanted to do like some video game related things, but just real quick, if you haven't watched the Devolver Digital showcase from 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, kind of during this whole like E3 weird week of video game stuff, go check it out. There's some really cool stuff that they showed off that I'm pretty excited about. Wizard with a gun looks really cool. It looks a little bit like Don't Starve, but different. I'm really interested in that. There's a deck building game that they showed off. Something about Inscription, I think is what it's called. Inscription.
Yeah. This is the guy who made
the
Pony Island and the Hex.
Yes, and the Hex, yeah.
yeah.
Crypt with the CRYPT instead of how you usually spell Inscription. That looks really interesting. I'm also kind of interested in their like I can't remember who the developer is for this, but there's like a temple run sort of game that's like a 3D platformer that you compete against other people online to see who like is the fastest in and out of this temple. It kind of looks interesting. Like if you take Temple Run and actually make a game out of it instead of just a mobile like game to fill up your time and take all your money. Yeah, that kind of looks interesting. And then let's see, I'm just trying to think of like some other highlights of things that I saw that I wanted to just briefly mention. I am actually kind of excited about checking out Halo Infinite's multiplayer. I didn't play the last Halo campaign, which is the first one that I didn't play. But because they are doing free to play for the new multiplayer, they're actually releasing the campaign as a standalone thing, and the multiplayer is going to be separate, and it's going to be crossplay. So, yeah, that should be pretty cool. So be able to play PC and anybody that has whatever the fuck Xbox models are called. I don't remember. But yeah, anyways,
X
Series
yes,
X.
yes,
Yeah.
Series X, yes.
While we're on trailer, did you guys see the Harold Hal trailer, or have you seen that?
No.
It's
What's that
like a stop motion animated video game.
Oh,
It looks
yes,
like
it
if
is,
like it's like they live in a ship that's crashed into the ocean or something.
I saw a
Looks
stop
real
motion
weird
one,
and
but
good.
I don't think it was that.
There's another one they showed.
Yeah, maybe I was seeing that one as well.
The Harold Halibut one, I feel like I saw something for it like a couple years ago, like really briefly, and then it just popped up again. But
Is it the point and click one?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think it's like
I've seen the
click.
point and click one.
But it looks really interesting. It just looks fascinating. Like I honestly am interested in playing the game. I'd be way more interested in like a 2-hour documentary where like this is how we fucking did this because it looks wild. Anyways, sorry.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about some of the games that were shown off, and just kind of it feels like we're kind of starting to finally get into the new generation of like console games as well, and like that is going to obviously bring games to PC, especially with what Microsoft is doing, where it's like you buy our game, you can play it anywhere, wherever the fuck you want to play it, which is fantastic as somebody who has never owned an Xbox. Like I'll play anything on PC, so I'm super excited about that. And I think like the Microsoft and Bethesda showcase that they did was absolutely incredible. Just showing off only games, and that was about it. Like that's what I wanted. So really excited about that kind of stuff. Yeah, maybe we can come back to game related things. But the other thing that I wanted to mention, which I cannot believe that this has become something that I really enjoy, working in my yard. I want to recommend working in your yard because it's fantastic and I actually love it. And as a teenager, I would have never thought that these words would ever come out of my mouth, because I remember telling my dad, like, I am not going to have a lawn if I ever have a lawn, it won't be a lawn, because I don't want to mow grass ever again in my life. I don't want to work in a garden. I don't want to pull weeds ever again in my life. I don't want to do anything with trees But like, I've got a house now, I got a family, I'm an old man, and I like working in my yard. It feels great, except when it's 100 degrees outside. That sucks. But yeah, so if you like need a way to, I don't know, like, it just, I don't know how to put this. Like, it's nice to have something that just like, you plant it in the ground, you take care of it, grows. It's great. It's stupid, but I love it. So
Sounds awesome.
I would recommend that. Yeah, it's kind of like meditative for me to just go out there and do the thing to take care of everything. That, as well as running a whole bunch, which is another thing that I'd recommend if you can or want to. But anyways, I think that's it. I think that's it for me.
Okay.
That's basically everything I've talked about is basically all I've done other than work in the last like 4 weeks. So
Hell yeah.
that's about it.
Cool. I've got a few things left. Do you have some stuff?
I have one
still?
thing left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gwen, do you have anything left?
I mean, I could gush about Murderbot more.
Okay, yeah. Hold on to that. Hold on. Okay, I've got a few video games that I want to talk about very quickly. That I've been playing. I'll start with the first one. I've started playing Judgment again, which is the same studio that makes all the Yakuza games, set in the same setting. I got to come home to a very familiar map. I knew all the names of the streets, which is convenient because in this game you play a private detective who has become a private detective because 3 years ago he was a lawyer and he got someone off for murder, which never happens in Japan. And then immediately after he got that guy off, that guy went home, killed his girlfriend, and burned his house down. And so he's like, well, I can't be a fucking lawyer anymore. And so he's like, I'm going to be a private eye. And he knows karate and kicks the shit out of people. Anyways, it's fucking awesome. It's so good. These guys who make these Yakuza games, I fucking love the writing. It's like pulpy in all the right ways. It's got these really like melodramatic, insane moments. And then like the next thing you know, you're picking up a bike and smashing a punk's face in. It's just really good. But I'm mostly playing it because they're coming out. They just announced the sequel that is coming out in September called Lost Judgment, which also just looks fucking rad. So anyways, Judgment, super awesome, very good game, especially if you're a fan of Yakuza, which how could you not be? The other game I've been playing is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which is a PS5 game, and God, I love Ratchet and Clank. It's just super fun. I mean, I will say, like, Ratchet and Clank, you pretty much know what you're getting. I think Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart might be the most advanced PS2 game ever created, because it's pretty much that. It's pretty much that formula. But moving around in Ratchet and Clank is so fun. All the weapons are so fun, and like, I've definitely found too. Like, I've played several games. I think the first one was the one that they released on PS4, which was kind of like a remake of the first one while also tying into the movie. So it's like kind of uneven story wise, but gorgeous. Fun to play. And I went back and played some of the other ones. And so now when I started this one, I kind of cranked up the difficulty. And it's balanced really well. And it's actually pretty hard at points where I'm like, oh yeah, I should be using 7 different weapons on this one thing, you know, and you're kind of like all these cascading effects of turning your enemies into plants and then having your little doom bots go and swarm them like nano kill machines. It's really good. But yeah, I think this game's great. I think it like showcases. It's another one of those things where it's like, man, these guys know how to use this controller because that controller is fucking wild, and I love it. Anyways, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I think every time those games come out, they're like, it's like a Pixar game you can play. This one's like, it's like a Pixar game you can play. But yeah, and also the writing. I think the writing in this one, like them not having to tie it into a movie or an existing plot, like. There's some really like sweet moments, and it's just I think there's some really great stuff. The other thing I've been playing, I've finally been playing Mass Effect, which finally it was the game I kept putting off because I'm like, surely they'll re-release this at some point in a way that will be better for me to play it, and they finally did, and so now I'm playing it. Tyler, I know you're like almost done with them again, right? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I've played them so many times that like I have so much of the shit memorized. Like I probably have the dialogue from 1 memorized. Like, but yeah, I know exactly where to go. I know exactly what order to do things in. Except this time I played there. It's been so long since I played 1 that there was something I did out of order and I missed out on something. So
oh shit.
I didn't realize could happen.
Interesting. Well,
Fuck me for trying to do side quests earlier.
Yeah, I've been playing Mass Effect 1, and I don't know how far I'm into it. It's kind of one of those things that I'm playing through pretty slow, but I just enjoy it. It's like, it feels like I get to go to my weekly episode of Star Trek every so often, just play for a couple hours and kind of do some stuff. And I think we talked about this a little earlier, like last time we hung out or whatever, and I definitely am feeling that. There's some age on that game. There's like some cruft that I don't think you can really fix and still call it. I don't know. It's part of
You have
game.
to remake it to fix the things.
And so there's like some of that comes up, but it's still really fun. I think that the tone of that game is rad. I can't think of another game that kind of that sci-fi tone as well as like kind of what I've experienced.
I mean, I'm biased, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say like best space opera since Star Wars. Like the world building in that is so good. I remember my first time playing it and just like talking to the different aliens. I'm like, the Volus are fucking rad. The Solarians are fucking rad. The Elcor are The Elcor are a race of these giant four-legged elephant dudes who speak monotone, and they speak monotone that they don't want to offend anyone, so they will describe the tone of what they're saying first. They'll be like, surprised alarm. I am so happy to see you. Like stuff like that is so great, and it's like, it's series blends camp with like these deeper sci-fi themes so well.
It's really good.
My recommendation that one is pretty rough. Now back, just play the main storyline. Don't worry about side quests because I tried experimenting this time with some of the side quests of what carries over. Do your companion side quest just so you get left to carry over because all choices carry over. Just turn it to easy.
Okay.
And just cruise through. Because, I mean, it's good. The story's good, but, like, you really want to get to 2 to delve into the characters, and then 3 is, like, big. That's fantastic.
Also, I mean, one of my greatest stories in life is crouching during combat and walking around.
Yeah.
Just watching a man hit a duck in a way I've never seen.
I heard that
it's amazing.
They had a hard time even just doing the remaster, getting that to work.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Fascinating. It's fucking cool.
Can I do it? Can I play it?
If you turn it to easy, yeah. Like,
okay.
And I think maybe I'm just thinking of 3. 3 has like a full-on like narrative difficulty. Like, I don't think the other 2 do, but
yeah. I mean, I think there's even the combat. Sometimes the combat is so clumsy. Like, I don't know how I made it through this encounter because most of it was trying to get my guy into the place I wanted him to be. So yeah, I think, but like so much of the rest of it, like I've had whole sessions where I don't have any combat. I'm just walking around and talking to people, and then like being like, I have 30 new entries in my codex to read, and just reading
the
through.
codex is fully narrated.
Yeah, it is.
Like that's nuts. I forgot about that. And it's the guy from Rogue Squadron.
Oh yeah,
doing this, and it's
It's really
pulling out all the stops. Mass Effect.
The last game. Sorry, I forgot about this too. I also have been playing the new DLC for Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is the Yuffie DLC, which is kind of like all new stuff for Final Fantasy VII. Like this is all 100% like new kind of story content, and it's really cool. And I forgot how much I really enjoy the combat of 7, it being this weird hybrid of like. Kind of waiting for cooldowns and also just like direct button action combat. But her, like, they introduce you to her combat like right off the bat. It's like the first 5 minutes of the DLC, and I was like, oh my god, there's so much like possibility within the space, and I've been playing more of it, and it's really good. It's a little more lighthearted than. I saw someone tweet that Yuffie is the anti-Cloud, and she kind of is. She's just like a fucking stoked teenage girl that like kicks people's asses, and it's really fun. So if you're into Final Fantasy VII, I think it's like a $20 expansion or whatever. But I don't know. I'm a sucker. I'm gonna buy anything that says Final Fantasy VII. It's really good though, so far. So great, Gwen. Please.
Can I just tell you how much I love Murderbot?
Please
and everyone, please read Murderbot. And just, like, as much as I love spending time with the shit people that Joe Abercrombie writes, I love spending time with Murderbot for all the opposite reasons. They're like so packed with social anxiety and existential anxiety, but it's somehow so wholesome. And yeah, I finished Fugitive Telemetry right before I went back to Joe Abercrombie. And I just love it. And it's a novella again. So it went 4 novellas and then a novel, Network Effect, which was fine. And then it went back to novella for Fugitive Telemetry, which was confusingly a prequel to Network Effect that I didn't understand the timeline at first. I was like, wait, I thought we were going to go play with art. What's happening? But yeah, it was.
So you're saying it's the Evangelion of books?
Yes. But yeah, it's amazing. And like all the people I've talked to, so Murderbot is genderless and sexless and uses it and its for pronoun. But when you read it, you sort of project yourself on Murderbot. So like I imagine Murderbot as sort of female-ish, but not female. And my dad imagines Murderbot as male.
I thought you were saying, and also my dad.
Also my dad. Murderbot is my dad. But like that seems to be a theme, is that like Murderbot is a character that you can project yourself onto a little bit, like not like the way that Bella Swan is or anything, but yeah, it's sweet and I love Murderbot.
What's the author for
Martha Wells.
Martha Wells. Okay. And that's Murderbot. Is that the name of like the season?
That's
Is that
the
what you'll find?
series.
Okay.
Yeah, first one is All Systems.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. No, that sounds super cool. It reminds me of a series that I read because of you, which was, I don't think we've talked about really, is the Anne.
Anne.
Yeah.
You read that?
Yeah, I read that trilogy. And,
yes. AIs
so
with
cool.
anxiety.
Very.
I love the trope.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a
It's
wonderful-
adorable in like similar ways, but
Okay.
it's like way more campy than Anne Leckie is.
That sounds awesome to me.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I definitely am gonna check it out. Tyler, what have you got?
That's my last thing. I've recommended this artist for as the concept album, very heavy concept album. As in like it's real concept album, not it's. I mean, yeah, it's kind of heavy, I guess, in some parts of the themes, but like it's goofy. Anyway, Billy Cobb is the artist, and Billy Cobb I've recommended before because he does these great. They're not cover albums, but
like the mat covers,
conceptual tribute albums to Weezer. He's not the best singer in the world. Like he's not as good as Rivers Cuomo. Like, and I mean Rivers Cuomo is not the best singer in the world either, but he's worse than Rivers probably. But his voice sounds similar enough, and he really does a good job with like his Pinkerton one of capturing the themes and the sound of Pinkerton. So he does those, but he just released a new album, which is not a Weezer album. It is called the SS Krill. And if you're thinking, man, I sure do like that Pinkerton Weezer stuff, but I wish, I know you've been dying for this, that it was a little more folky and about gay pirates. And
I'm in.
and it's this whole fucking weird concept album of this relationship between these two gay pirates. And it also includes pre-existing folk songs, like New York Boys is in there. Just straight up New York Boys.
Okay.
Nothing else.
I mean, in the great tradition of folk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
The Set Sail song, like Way Up She Rises. That's the second song on the album. Like,
Cool.
So yeah, really fucking interesting. It's really, at first I wasn't sure how I was feeling about it. The first song, especially, like, don't judge it by that. Like, get into the album, and then by the time you hit like 3 and 4, you're like, oh wow, this is interesting. Very narratively heavy, and just it's nothing like groundbreaking, but it's just kind of an interesting look at relationships and kind of trying to like apply that into kind of our real life relationships in the present time of, you know, two people trying to make something work and having different goals and how we handle that. Yeah, this is a great journey. By the end, it feels like you've been on a journey. So I highly recommend that.
Cool. Great. I will go ahead. I've just got 2 more things to talk about very quickly. The first thing I want to talk about is another show on HBO. Again, I have not finished this. I think it's like a self-contained thing. I'm about 4 or 5 episodes in, I think. It's called Mayor of Easttown. It's a kind of a crime drama. I mean, it is starring Kate Winslet in this like small like Pennsylvania town. It's just really fucking good. Turns out Kate Winslet is good. She's a really good actress. And I don't know. There's just something about this show. I hesitate to say this, but also I feel like pretty similarly. It's reminding me of True Detective. Like, not in like True Detective has this like just absolute weight to it that pervades the entire show, and this doesn't have that. This doesn't get like nearly as philosophical, and kind of like at times True Detective like just pokes into its own ass a little bit, you know? And it's like very high on what it's telling you. This is kind of devoid of that, but it's full of like really like incredibly fleshed out characters and complicated relationships, and it's just really fun to watch. It's one of those shows where it's like there is this mystery. It has that trope of at the end of that episode, there is a girl who is dead. And that becomes kind of this thing that starts to tip all these dominoes over. But really the story is everything around that. And it's great. I think it's fantastic. Seriously, Kate Winslet. Fuck. It's so good. The last thing I want to recommend is I went and saw a movie in a movie theater this week.
Did you catch COVID?
I was one of two people in the movie theater, and the other person is someone I spend a ton of time with. So no. But I went and saw a movie called The Sparks Brothers, which is a new documentary that Edgar Wright made about a band called Sparks, which I had thought I'd never heard of. Turns out I actually knew a couple songs because my dad sort of listened to Sparks. But they're basically these brothers from Southern California who write insanely weird, hilarious, sad music with a lot. I don't know. It's really weird. You just go check out some Sparks stuff, or go check out the trailer, probably better. But this documentary just kind of chronicles their career, and it feels like a documentary that's made for people who really love Sparks and know a lot about them, and also for people who know nothing about them, because they've released 25 albums since 1971, I believe, and it basically goes through each of those albums and kind of talks about this arc of their career. And they're super interesting, and I've been listening to tons of Sparks since I saw that documentary. So go check it out if you're interested in music. They're kind of insane people that they're like, some of their songs sound like they're like Queen from the Dark Dimension. Like, I don't know. They're really good. So check that out. But yeah, I think that's all I've got to recommend. So this is us back in the saddle next week. For real this time. I feel like it feels like every time I say next week, it's a month later. But next week, we'll be covering the first 2 episodes of season 3 of The Leftovers. Hopefully, we've given you ample time to catch up. So go watch those episodes. And
Wait, how many? 2? 3?
2.
Oh, okay.
2, yes.
I got scared for a second.
No, just 2. And we've there's only 8 episodes of Leftovers left, so this is a shorter season than the last couple. And that'll become pretty apparent in the way they set up and destroy narratives from the past. Is that they had to fight and scrape to get 8 more episodes from HBO. So then they were like, well, fuck, this is the last chance we have, so here's the thing we want to do.
I watched the first episode. It's pretty evident which storyline they dropped.
Yep.
Like the first
And I was
5
kind of
minutes.
like, thank God. Anyways, spoilers. But yeah, we'll get there. We'll talk about that. And then from there, who knows? I'm excited for the future. That's all I can say. You've been here with me, Tyler Harris, and
Gwen Hammer.
Tyler McKinley.
Justin Hammer.
goodbye.